Hey there, welcome to Coding with Drew. In this video, we're going to learn about Console.log. We're going to learn about var, let, and const. So in your browser, go ahead and open up google.com and two-finger click and go to inspect. You'll see elements and console. We want to be in console. This is our JavaScript console. And in it, there's a couple commands that are going to be especially useful. The first one is clear, with parentheses afterwards. If we run that, it will clear our console. The second one is console. Now, console, much like our document or our window, is an object in JavaScript, and that object is this console that we have open. So if I run it, if I just run console, you can see that it's got all these methods built onto it. There's error, info, log, and a bunch of other ones that we probably won't use. For now, I want to focus on log. So let's clear, and let's type in console.log. Now, if we press return, nothing will happen. Console.log is very similar to echo. Now, if you took my bash sections before JavaScript, you know what echo is. Echo will repeat whatever you type into it into the output. And so here we have undefined because there's nothing there. But if I did console.log and I put double quotes and I said, hello world, and in my parentheses. And now it's good practice to put a semicolon at the end of every line of JavaScript. This is a JavaScript special thing. I recommend doing it. It's one of the things I really dislike about JavaScript, but you'll get used to it. It's not that big of a deal. So now you can see the output is hello world, everything in between the quote marks. Now, since we're talking about quote marks, let's learn there's three different kinds of quote marks. There's a backtick, single quote, and a double quote. You can't close a single quote with a double quote, so two single quotes, or it has to be two double quotes, or two backticks. Can't be backtick and a double quote, backtick and a single quote and a double quote, or backtick. It just won't work. So single quote and double quote work very similarly. There's really no big difference. There are camps of people who say single quotes everywhere, double quotes everywhere. It really just depends on where you work. Some places are really particular, some don't give a care. They really just want to make sure that you're making good code. Backticks is special. And backticks is special because it allows multiple lines. So let's say I do console.log and I try to use double quotes. And I say hello, and then on another line, I say world, if I could spell. And then I put a parentheses to close it. You can see that I find an error. But if I change this to a backtick, it will print out hello world on two different lines. And you can do multiple lines if you wanted to. The next thing that's important to know is how to comment out your code. So let's say I do console.log hello world, and then I put a single line comment. This is a comment. Everything after the forward slash is a comment. Now, if I wanted this comment to be, now I got an error. The error is because I didn't close out my double quotes. So now you can see that it changed colors. You can see the comment is not printed out when I run that command. And it looks like I have another error. I misspelled console, missing the E. So you can see that this is a comment, doesn't come afterwards. You can do a multi-line comment like this, console.log, I spelled it correctly, and you can say this is a multi-line comment, and I need to make sure I use double quote to close it. So if I do /* and then a star /, anything in between here, this is a multi-line comment. You can see that this is a multi-line comment, didn't cause any errors or anything, and it's all in green, meaning that it is a bona fide comment. All right. So now that we've got a lot of our housekeeping kind of console.log stuff out of the way, let's learn how to declare a variable. Now in Bash, we just say my variable equals, let's say 1. But it, in JavaScript, we don't want to use this kind of syntax. What we want to do is declare it as a variable. So we say let my variable equal 1. And note the difference in the syntax, where I don't have it butted up against each other. There's breathing room on the equals mark. And let means that this is a variable that could change in the future. Const is another way of declaring a variable, my const, and we can say 1. Now the interesting difference between the two is if I try to say my const equals 2, I'm going to get an error because I am trying to change a constant. Constants do not change. That's why they're constant. But if I did my variable equals 2, now if I console.log my variable, I'll see that the result is 2, even though I set it equals 1 here, because I updated it here. Lastly, you will probably come across it in the wild as var. Var, my var equals, this is a quote. Now, my preference is that you never use var. You should use let everywhere. They do the exact same things, but this is a relic of times from yonder. It is old and pre-ES6. I won't teach you ES6 if you're not familiar with what ES6 is. It's just basically the latest acceptable version of JavaScript. And since JavaScript is old and came out in the 90s, they haven't decided to stop supporting a lot of old stuff. So your browser that was running a web page from the 90s would still work on a browser today for the most part. And this is because JavaScript continues to support a lot of its old remnants. And so this baggage makes some of the training or learning difficult when you're learning from various resources. If you see a course that you've taken in the past and they teach you var, it's old, and I would recommend trying to wipe var out of your memory. We'll get more into it as time progresses. We discussed console.log, the console in general. We discussed how to clear your console. We discussed var, let, and const, and we discussed how to make quotes and comments. Key takeaways with quotes: backticks anytime you want to do double lines, or you want to use parameter expansion like we did in Bash. Single quotes and double quotes cannot be used for parameter expansion. I will see you in the next video. Cheers.